Hello and welcome everyone to the Jevan Show. I'm your host Jay alongside my co-host Vaughn, and we have a very special guest whom I will let Vaughn announce.
We have a good friend of mine, Lucas, the Lucanator. Luke the Great. Holy Trinity is finally combined. Jay, Vaughn, Luke the Great. Good friend of mine. He's going to be here today talking about some very, very interesting topics that I will let Jay lead us off into.
Thank you, Vaughn. We're going to be talking today about 4 of the wildest moon landing conspiracy theories. Well, let's start out talking about the moon landing. The Apollo 11 was on July 20th, 1969. It was one of the most astonishing achievements in human history. It was estimated 530 million people were watching it on TV as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin took their first steps on the moon. So, let's just get right into it. The first conspiracy theory why people think it is fake is because the American flag looks like it's flapping in the wind in their pictures that they sent back to the Earth. What do you think about that, Vaughn?
Well, I think that's kind of retarded because, they obviously, predicted the fact that the moon has no atmosphere, so they had, those little stilts, I don't know exactly the word you call them, on the top and bottom of the flag. And since there is less gravity on the moon, every motion of planting the flag made it, wiggle and stuff like that, but the wiggle would last longer because there's less gravity and no air resistance to stop it.
You have any words, Lucas?
That was a very intelligent response. I agree with the second motion.
What the people are saying is pretty much whenever they see it moving, it's wind, so it's fake. But whenever it's moving, it's wind. The astronauts are touching it and moving it and all that stuff.
And also, wouldn't they think about that? That's pretty obvious.
Well, if you just think logically, then what Evan would say,
Physics.
it makes sense, right? It's called
If they just would have taken a flag up there and planted it, then it would have looked like a flag on Earth where it would just be hanging down, not doing anything because there's no wind up there, obviously. But they put 2 horizontal rods into the flag to make it stand up, to make it look like
Just
that.
thinking if it was on Earth, they would actually have like a fan blowing on it to make it move like that. What? Explain to me how that makes any sense. All right, we're doing a moon landing. There's no air here, but I'm going to put a fan here to make it look like we're on Earth.
Yeah, we made a fan. Right? We brought a fan to the moon because that's gonna work.
Yeah, that's just a dumb one.
Well, I think we've exposed that conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory number 2. The moon landing is fake because you can't see the stars.
You want to start on this one, Lucanator, or you want me to start on this?
I think we should have our great man Vaughn start this
All
one.
right, I got you. All right, so this was obviously, the picture is taken with a camera, right? Obviously, you take pictures with cameras, and there's a little thing called exposure that you need to set the brightness of the picture, right?
And they're on daylight exposures.
Exactly. Okay, so the exposure was set so you could actually, see the moon because there's actually reflective property in the sand on the moon. Plus, the white suits and all the aluminum and tin, I don't know if it was tin, I can't remember exactly the metal, but all the aluminum on the spacecraft was reflecting so much light from the sun because there's no atmosphere on the moon to stop the sun. It was it was a blinding light. That's why they had those big golden visors on the astronauts' helmets. So, they had to set the exposure to a lot, lower than it normally would have on Earth. So you could not see the stars because it was not collecting enough light from the stars. All of it was just being taken up by the sun, reflecting off the moon and stuff. That's pretty much. It's just simple.
It's trying to
it's how
focus
cameras.
on other light, not the stars.
It's just the stars weren't bright enough.
The picture,
because
it
the
wasn't
sun
for the
was
stars.
so
they take
bright.
other pictures for the stars.
Like you have to have the exposure set to a certain point. I know this because I do astrophotography at my house. So you have to actually have the exposure right to see the stars.
Yeah, I just
because if you just have a random daylight exposure or whatever, I can't remember what exposure mine was set on. I looked at the sky and it was just black. So I turned up the exposure and then I could see all the stars. So it's just something like that. Like if the And we're we're back. Sorry about that. We had some audio difficulties there for a second. Had to cut it so we didn't blow your eardrums out. But we were just talking about, the exposure settings for the camera. I'm pretty sure we covered that well enough.
Well, one thing I want to say, it would just be like if you went outside to take pictures of the stars and then you turned on your porch lights.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to see them
because the camera would adjust to the porch light.
Well, light pollution and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't see it.
And there was a gigantic star
Right.
right there with no atmosphere to stop it.
It's focusing on other lights, not going to be able to see it.
I mean, dude, seeing the moon without any visors would be near blinding to the naked human.
Right.
That just facts.
Yeah. Well, on to conspiracy theory number 3. The moon landing is fake because the shadows aren't right in the pictures.
Actually, this one is because it's actually rather complicated. So, like I said earlier, how the moon's dust has reflective properties in it, because I don't know what element it is has the sand in it. But actually, they what company was it? I think it was NVIDIA with their ray tracing technology recreated the surface of the moon where the Apollo mission landed, and they recreated the lighting and everything, and they discovered pretty much they already had the theory of why, but they proved it with this is because the shadow coming from the spaceship seems like it would be black, right? Because there's no other light source, right? But it's not. So the reason is because the light that's coming over the spaceship is hitting the ground and reflecting back towards the ship. Right. So it's not solid black. So all of the light reflecting off the suit, the landing legs, which are not, the landing legs were letting light come from underneath. It was all reflecting just enough you could actually see everything behind the spaceship. And this was proven with ray tracing technology.
Not to go back on what you said, but that really wasn't complicated. A great man once just said, people are stupid.
It was complicated before NVIDIA proved it. And by great man, I think he's talking about Jay here.
He's definitely talking about Jay.
I was talking about Jay, but Jay didn't get that. Sorry, Jay.
Jay almost killed him. That was very close. I
That
had to restrain him.
That would have been the last of Luke's great. He would have no longer been great.
Oh, he would have been dead. Oh, man.
Well, on to our last conspiracy theory. The moon landing is fake because you can't see Armstrong's camera. In the photo where he's taking the picture of Buzz Aldrin, you can see the reflection of Armstrong, but you can tell that he's not holding a camera or anything. The thing is, there would be no way for him to carry a camera in his suit and all that stuff, so it was attached to where he can just do that.
Yeah, it was a body camera.
So, really, I don't understand why people argue it.
Did they not realize how expensive those suits were? They're like, why not just put a camera on it?
They don't go into this and actually try and figure out why. They don't try and figure out and try and make it real. They're just trying to find ways to make it not real. The reason they can't find these things is because they're specifically trying to make it unreal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, plus there's, a few little things that literal, experiments that we can do right now today if we had the right equipment to prove the moon landing happened. So whenever they landed on the moon, they left mirrors on specific points on the moon where they landed, and they took the exact geographical location on the moon so that scientists could then point lasers at those mirrors, and 2 or 3 minutes later, that laser would bounce back. It happens every time. You can do it. I can do it if we're rich and have the expensive lasers that can reach up there. But you can also get a super high-powered telescope and see the moon, where we had the moon landing. You would think people actually believe in this conspiracy theory would be like, hey, let's actually try to get some evidence for this and not just spout baloney.
They don't want evidence. They just want to try and show
that'd be too hard.
Wrong. Right,
exactly.
Right.
But yeah, that one, moon landing one, I've always just thought that's just dumb.
They clearly haven't tried to prove it right and not been able to, and therefore proving it wrong. They've just tried to prove it wrong. They haven't tried to look at it as it being true.
I mean, it's the greatest achievement humanity has ever achieved.
And the reason why people deny it is mainly it's more political than it is scientific. But anyways, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Alexa, call the Secret Service.
Playing the Jevan show.
No, I said the Secret Service. Oh well, I guess I'll die knowing I'm listening to the best podcast on YouTube. The best political commentary, best commentary in general. It's not just my opinion. It's what my friends tell me too. I guess it's just the best way to go. What was that noise? Oh no, spider! Please, no! No, gosh, no!
Hello and welcome everyone back to the show. We hope you enjoyed it so far. And we have a new subject that I'm going to let Vaughn start us off on.
Well, we're going to talk about one of my least favorite subjects, the Flat Earth conspiracy. Oh, how I hate the Flat Earth conspiracy. I'm just going to run over a few of the talking points they give, and trust me, there are many, many, many more, but I'm just going to cover a few. So one is that gravity doesn't exist is something they think. They think that density affects speed because, a bowling ball looks like it falls faster than a feather, okay? So it looks like something that weighs more falls at a different speed. That's one of the things they believe in. But yeah, it's... With that logic, no, hold on. I'm going to save that. Let Josh and Luke over here, let them talk about that. But another thing they think is since there is no gravity, the disk itself, that is apparently the flat Earth, is moving up at a rate that is perfect for our experience of what we think, I do air quotes, is gravity. So y'all got anything to say about that?
So would that mean the entire solar system is just moving simultaneously
Yes.
with the Earth
Yes.
and spinning around?
Yes.
And the Earth is just constantly, and it just moves faster. in a
Without any
circle.
gravity, by the way.
without any gravity. Just say that.
No, it's impossible.
No.
Unless somebody installed a fake solar system around the planet in a giant sphere around the disk.
That's it.
To make it.
That's it. We solved
I
it.
solved it. I solved it.
The only thing I can say about that is people have no common sense. And as a wise man once said, people are stupid.
Yes. Very much so.
So we do have a few ways to prove that the Earth is in fact round. So
Not to mention we literally have satellites in space.
the first
Those are
one
fake too.
is go watch a ship sail off to the sea. So you just go to the harbor and you look out and watch a ship sail off. You notice that it doesn't just keep going. It looks like it sinks.
Right. After a while, you can't see anymore. You want to know why? Because it curves around the Earth.
And if you even try to tell me that it's atmospheric distortion, you're retarded because you would still be able to see it.
Still be able to see.
Just distorted.
See, if you went and got a telescope to go see further,
You still can't
wouldn't
see
be
it.
able to see it.
I can literally do this
You wouldn't be able
myself
to
with my
see it.
telescope.
Right,
You
yeah.
wouldn't be able to see it.
You wouldn't be able to see it.
It's just like somebody walking over a hill.
Because water is not like land. It doesn't, bulge up and stuff like land does. It settles.
Do you think sailors would have the stories, of like, when we go over the curve, it's like,
My question is, how do you sail if the Earth is flat? How do we navigate like we
boys,
do?
we're going over.
Okay, think of it this way. We calculate for a round Earth, right, when we sail. How on earth would we get anywhere if we're calculating for the wrong, shape of the Earth?
We're not on Earth, we're on flat Earth. You gotta remember that.
Keep on forgetting! I've been lied to for so many years.
My whole life is a lie.
Oh, my word.
But
still,
Our second point to prove that the Earth is in fact round is to go and watch a lunar eclipse. Now, if you don't know what a lunar eclipse is, then go to biology class or something. No.
Biology class? Okay, are you okay?
I'm not
Are
okay.
you good, bro?
I'm very...
The biology of the universe.
But it's pretty much the Earth's shadow is cast into the moon.
Eighth grade.
So if it was flat, then it would be just a straight line over the moon. It wouldn't cover the whole entire moon.
Exactly.
Which is
Exactly.
the obvious.
I mean, it would literally have to be perfectly
Wait, and
oriented.
why would-
Because even at the slightest difference, it would have this really weird shadow cast.
Well, and why would every other planet be round? Because
Hey.
you can see that.
Yeah, literally the
You-
flat
you
Earth
can see
community
that.
admits that the other planets in the solar
Why-
system are round.
Why would
isn't
there
that-
just be one flat planet?
Well, and my question is, if gravity doesn't exist, how do round planets exist? That's my question.
Exactly, right.
They don't.
They don't.
What do you think they're doing? Do you think they're just... They would have to
What?
be moving like all at once. They'd be That wouldn't
Like-
work. That's not...
First off, matter itself, in the way we know it, couldn't exist without gravity. It would just be a bunch of loose particles and
Just be
atoms.
Straight up impossible.
I know.
It'd just be floating
It's just Well, the thing is, what makes no sense to me is the theory of density changing, speeds and stuff. Density couldn't really be a thing without gravity.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh my word! Like, imagine the sun. You know how dense that is without gravity? It just spread off into individual
We
atoms,
would
stuff
die because it would hit the Earth and
Exactly.
we would die.
Exactly. But the sun is fake. The sun is fake.
It's just a picture that's
Fake
in the
news.
skies, guys.
The rest of the universe is fake news. Okay.
Guys, it's just like the bat symbol in the sky. It's fake. It's just there.
I don't know.
It's like
just
the moon. It's just a symbol. It's just a picture.
It's literally just being projected onto the sky. That is fake.
It's just the government, man. It's just a hologram.
It's fake news.
It's
Fake
a hologram by the satellites that take pictures that the Earth is round.
My question is, hold up. I actually heard somebody say the pictures from ISS were from a plane. I'm like, bruh, how small is the Earth then? My word.
It's only 20,000 feet.
Oh. Then actually, did you hear about them always claiming that the pictures of the Earth are fake because they're composited? I'm just like, of course they are. The Earth is gigantic. You can't get it all in one picture unless you're like at the moon.
Yeah.
You dummy.
Which
Boy.
we proved exists.
Yeah.
And we've been there.
No, that, like we just said earlier, that was fake. We've never been there.
So those pictures must be fake
Oh, yeah.
of that.
All right, guys.
Everything
literally,
is fake.
literally everything
fake.
is.
Life is fake.
You know
We
what?
live in a
You know, I
simulation.
think
You
a
who are
bomb is
listening
fake.
to this, you are fake.
You are fake news.
You're not real, okay? You think you're real.
Take
you
the
think
red
you
pill.
Exist.
You're not real.
You think you exist. You don't. Your life is just to watch the Jevan show, which is a good one.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Not biased at all.
I'm just a guest. I'm not biased.
Oh, Lord.
Well, moving on to our third point. Go and climb a tree. So just imagine you're in the middle of nothingness. Literally nothingness if it was flat. And there's just one tree. If you climbed the tree and looked out, you would see for pretty much forever. But since it's not, you can't see forever.
You can't do that.
Obviously, since it's round.
But it's a flat Earth with bumps. I mean, actually,
Makes more sense.
just going to the
it
Sears
can be
Tower,
flat Earth. There's
or what
mountains.
was the Sears Tower, you can see the curve of the Earth. So literally just go there.
Well, you see, that's the thing. It can't be flat. There's mountains.
I don't know. I don't know
You ever
anymore.
seen a hill? It's not flat.
I've been to Kansas before. They don't exist there.
Kansas is flat.
Yeah, okay. I will concede to the flat
They
earthers.
believe-
There is one part of the
Okay.
Earth that is
I'm
completely
not a
flat.
flat earther. I'm a flat Kansaser.
Flat Kansas,
Kansaser.
sir. Kansas, sir. Oh, I did forget to say one thing. Quick disproving to the density baloney junk. So if you had a pound of iron and, like, say, an iron bar and a feather, and you drop them both at the same time, obviously the iron bar would go faster, right? The question is why? They would. That we've proven in a vacuum they fall at the exact same time. We've videotaped it and everything. But why would the feather fall slower than the iron bar? Do either of y'all know?
Because it depends on the size of the iron
Density.
bar.
No.
Air resistance.
Air resistance.
Air resistance. Because
Exactly.
the
Because
feather,
it's the air
feather
is
is
the air.
spread
The
out.
feather that and it's light. It's less dense. That part of their they take that part right there and make it the theory of everything. Okay.
it's just spread out more. more, so it's
Like the
It's
thing is,
pushing
the
against
the
more air
iron
to
bar
fall. The
can
iron bar's
displace
not.
the air molecules better than the feather can.
Exactly.
Flat Earth solved.
Bro, why do you think paper airplanes work?
Yeah,
But
I don't. Okay, unless all airplanes, boats, and just literally everything secretly run on the Flat Earth network, everything would die.
The government doesn't want you.
Why? I don't understand.
airplanes can't actually
Oh.
fly. It's just
Bro,
on a track.
I heard a theory that some secret organization has a gigantic fleet that covers the entire, like, the outer circle of the Earth to not let anybody go to it. Because we,
What are they
because
gonna
we,
do, blow 'em up?
I guess.
You can't go.
Because, any country definitely has the money to build a navy that spans the entire planet. Like, bro,
Oh, my.
Yeah, what if you just want to go deep sea swimming?
you would die.
Well, that's
They will
why.
find you.
And, okay, I still don't understand. Just,
Nobody does.
apparently there's a wall, an ice wall that covers the water because, there's no gravity to keep the water there, so it just would just, like, slide off randomly. But what if
But wouldn't the ice wall
Wait.
slide off?
Exactly. But what if we blew up the ice wall? Would we all die? Dude, actually,
We
good
all
question.
float up.
Good question. Wouldn't one, theoretically, depending on how thick the flat Earth disk thing would be, wouldn't just, how do earthquakes work? I have so many questions.
Oh, you're right.
How does that work? Because, there's no gravity, which that's the
Oh,
main
you know what?
reason that.
It's when asteroids hit the other side of the Earth.
Wouldn't that wait? Since
when
there's no
asteroids
gravity,
fall
like
there's
a
no
wave.
wait. Since there's no gravity and stuff, if one asteroid hits, we just go in a circle.
That would be bad.
Dude, we would just like literally get
And
slingshot.
then if there weren't any
Oh,
if there wasn't any
dude.
gravity, then
Okay.
yeah, you would get thrown.
Oh, that'd be terrible. You get thrown off Earth just to get smacked by Earth again.
Dude, imagine, yeah, you get displaced for a second and by the rest of the planet.
Get mystified,
Well,
bro.
this is the end of the world.
Dude, actually, if you did make spacecraft from a flat Earth, how would you land? If you think about
A
it,
spacecraft out of Earth.
from the
Is that-
flat, like if you
Okay, I was about
if you
to
could
say,
somehow take off from the
spacecraft.
flat Earth, and you tried to land, oh, the nightmare! Like
I guess you
trying
just
to,
go like through the Earth.
I don't know, dude. Imagine actually, if you nuked the bottom side of the flat Earth, would you kill the Earth?
You just make a big hole.
No, it's the San Andreas fault line.
Mariana's Trench can secretly see through the flat Earth. Actually, that's a very good question, though. If the Earth was flat, how thick would it be? Because we don't know
Wait.
how far we can dig.
The Earth's flat, then where's the core?
Exactly. Where's the heat come from?
Yeah, where's the core?
Where's the heat come from? Like,
Nobody. knows.
actually, would asteroids be flat disks? Mm.
It's electron discs.
It's like Tron disks. You. God just like yeet.
You know what? I'm gonna split this one in half.
Dude, just. Oh my word.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Oh. Dude, just.
Well, our last point to prove that the Earth is in fact round is just go to Google and type in International Space Station photos. Now, people say that seeing is believing, so if you go to look at the photos, you can obviously tell it's round and not
You're
flat.
seeing.
And then the people are like, well, it's fake photos.
All satellites are fake, except I've literally watched a
How do you-
satellite through my telescope, so
Guys,
explain that one to me.
How does Google Earth work?
Your telescope
Airplanes.
is fake.
No, that's my telescope's fake. Dude, no, your telescope, it has an LCD on the front, so it sees whatever we want you to see. But no joke.
It's like VR.
Three
You just see
times.
what-
3 times
You
I
see.
have tracked a satellite with my telescope. Explain me how satellites are fake.
Satellites don't exist.
That's an airplane. I wonder why it's just a tiny little dot in the sky
It's
that
just really,
has
really
no jet
high.
track. Because you don't need air to fly in an airplane or anything.
I don't know, man.
Unless satellites and rockets that don't need air exist.
Sure.
Whoa!
Are you sure it wasn't a Tesla floating around out there?
Honestly, I was probably looking at this. SpaceX's new thing they launched up there. That's probably what it was.
Well, with no gravity, then Tesla could be up there.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Actually, if you think about it, if self-driving cars are running on the around Earth, for Google Maps, if it was a flat Earth, we would literally kill everybody with the self-driving cars.
That is true.
If you think about it. Yep. Unless it's everything's a conspiracy. Okay. Everything.
It just
Like
it doesn't
the
make sense.
conspiracy.
None of
It's
this
just sitting here thinking of
There's
these.
so many holes.
Exactly.
What is common sense?
Not them. If you think you
common
feel
sense
special
were
because you believe in a
common,
flat Earth,
everyone
you're
would
special
have
in
it.
the way a mother tells their child is special. Okay.
What,
just-
like I'm special?
It's like whenever your child starts playing in the toilet and your mom's like, "Oh, you're so special, son." That's the way you're special. Okay.
You're so special. You'll be on the short bus.
Oh snap!
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Lucas the Great, thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this episode and join us next time on The Jevan Show. And for Vaughn and the rest of the cast, I'm Jay, and goodbye.
Wise men say, if you want to be happy, then you should watch the Jevan Show. Jay and Vaughn, the two best hosts, and they always have a great special guest. Now you've heard this song, and now you should go and watch the Jevan Show. Yes, you should go and watch the